It is July and it is this month in arts marketing. And I am here, Lynette, I am the CEO, and Megan, who you have seen with me several times, and a new face who you probably haven't met yet. This is Mel, and Melanie joined our team. She is our data, box office, systems expert. We're really excited she's on board and happy that she's going to participate in our this month in arts marketing podcast, YouTube, whatever you want to call this video. This month, we're going to talk about the things that affect our world and our community and our marketing plans and how that we can shift and plan around them when things get a little bit unpredictable.
One of the things that's on my brain right now, with it being a holiday week, it's the week of the 4th of July right now, is how important it is to know that these things are coming in advance, more so than get to July 3rd and be like, oh, we're off tomorrow. Or, the world is kind of like work world is kind of shutting down tomorrow. People are going to be behaving differently. People are going to be interacting differently. And what it's got me thinking about is more so than just the 4th of July, all the big things that come up on calendars that affect how your organization is going to work and communicate and spend based on how audiences are going to be behaving during those times. So one of the things that comes up when we're approaching a bigger holiday like this is how noisy and busy social media gets, and how many larger companies have sales and a bunch of ads running to the point where your money doesn't stretch as far in regards to paid advertising. If we're specifically thinking about digital advertising, it's not as much worth your budget.
So what would you suggest that you do?
Planning further in advance, which is always our answer to every problem ever. When you're looking at your calendar in advance, take note that you're, let's say, 2 weeks out from the opening of a show during the week of the 4th of July. That might mean that you start your advertising earlier than you would have in order to allow for almost a break in advertising without feeling like you're losing sales. Starting messaging and paid advertising maybe a little bit sooner, or budgeting the spend of your ads differently around this week, so that way you don't feel like you're losing ground, but you don't have to spend your money in a week where you're competing with a lot of other noise around you. And that goes for stuff all throughout the calendar year. I'm from Buffalo, New York, so Bills games are huge, and that comes into play for more than just advertising. It's about scheduling your events, maybe not changing your show times, but just acknowledging what else is going on in your community or the world around the work that your organization is doing, so you don't get blindsided by something that, if you feel tied in with your community, you might have been able to better plan for.
Like Ohio State football games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Football's big, man. Even if you're not a football fan, you got to know what schedules are.
And it does affect things pretty greatly. You see a significant difference. Now, that's a really good point. I think that's a really good point.
And that can be big and small. If you really know your audiences, knowing what other types of events or happenings in those interest areas are going on will affect ticket sales, interaction, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So Mel, you're our schedule planner, data, all things systems. So do you have suggestions on like how people, organizations can work that in?
Yeah, this is a good time to get the calendar together, like your whole departmental calendar, not just what your social content calendar is going to be, but everything you have going on. So you can get all of that into place and all of your tools into place. If you're tracking your ticket sales data, get your spreadsheets together. And most of us still work on spreadsheets. Some of us have fancier things, but that's about everybody's tool. And get that calendar together. Most everybody knows when their performances are going to be. You need to plan out when are your video shoots going to happen, so you have that you have all that ready for your online stuff, your website, your printed materials, everything. And then also, think about other things that your organization does that you need to make sure you fill in. Do you have an academy? You need to start filtering in what their needs are out of your department for the season. Do you do outreach programs? Usually that's grant supported. So when are those due, and what are those grant requirements that also require marketing's help? This is a good time to kind of get that calendar into place so you have those big items, and then you can be flexible when something comes in a little out of the ordinary or not on the usual year, to figure out how you're going to handle that.
Like we say, the fires, the
Yes,
unexpected
the
fires.
fires.
So we're fire preventing.
That's
Yeah,
gonna be a really full calendar.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I think that intimidates people. Maybe we're just very calendar minded people, like, duh. But but yeah, a full calendar will be to your advantage, even if it's a little overwhelming at the moment, to really see and lay out long term.
Yeah.
What's
and I
coming.
think it helps to just to focus on one area and fill that out, and then the next area, at least for me. But I like having a place where I go and I have like everything there, so I know exactly what is coming up, even from, if you have a team, whether it's you by yourself trying to do that and you want to try and get a handle on everything that's coming up, or if you do have a team, what your team is working on, it'll help, distributing workload too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you're an individual, or doing the work by yourself, you have vendors, so you need to make sure, that's why the calendar helps, so you can get your vendors scheduled. And if you hire out for your photography and your videography, you're getting them on the right calendar for your needs.
And making sure you have them. It's not like a last minute trying to get them in. That's a good point too. And
It'll
sometimes
save you
with the
money.
holidays, you'll save money.
Yeah.
Sometimes too with the holidays, they might be closed, and so you have to do something earlier than you would normally. So yeah, good point. And I will chime in with my 2 cents about this year's major event, or at least the fall's major event, and that is the election. If you're in the United States, which most of our people are, that is going to greatly cause major noise in the digital world. And so it is going to affect your sales. Like it is. We have seen it consistently. Every time we have a major election like this, your fall sales will drop. So adjust that in your budget if you haven't thought that through already. Like that is something to think about. And it's really going to be very important that your content and everything is planned ahead of time. If I had an October show right now, I would start talking about it right now. Because
even if it's not paid,
even
just
if it's not
talking
paid.
about it organically.
Yeah, the runway needs to be longer than normal. For all the shows, I would say the whole way through November, your runway needs to be longer. And you need to recognize that behavior is going to be unpredictable. The amount of money that you might typically spend on an ad might not go as far as it normally would right now. So you might want to budget a little bit more. You might want to try some new things, to see if they wouldn't spend necessarily money in traditional media in any way, shape, or form. But this might be the time to do a postcard. I don't know. Just looking, I know you're going to get a ton of political postcards, but it might be a nice, refreshing thing to get a postcard about something fun and artsy.
I would say it comes down to being diverse and flexible. If you can reach people in different ways without being overwhelming, which will be challenging based on how far a budget can stretch during events like these. And then also being flexible, knowing that things will change before, during, and after a major election, people's behavior, funding, a whole mess of things.
Emotions. There will be a lot of emotions this year. Yeah. So.
And how you stay flexible is by preparing. And I think what you were saying earlier about booking is like booking photographers and stuff now. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like further in advance than you normally would?
Yeah, I mean, if you do traditional media, you would need to book earlier. Like if you do TV or you do OTT, you need to book earlier because all the spots are gonna get taken up by the political ads. I probably wouldn't even recommend doing it right now for most of our clientele. Depending on how large you are, you probably don't have the budget to even compete in traditional media right now. So again, we don't know that. So that was a blanket statement that I probably shouldn't have made to everybody, but
It's being cautious.
it's being cautious right now. Thinking through what you're going to do. And I think that's it, right? Like that's what we've all been talking about, is thinking through what you're going to do when something unpredictable happens. Knowing that the election is going to cause ripples in your normal way. It's going to cause ripples in your patrons' normal behavior. And so planning for those ripples now is going to save you a lot of heartache when you're 2 weeks out from your show and you don't have your tickets sold yet. So
yeah, buying behavior will be different. It's just, and knowing that it's going to be different is to accept that, accept the things that you can't, knowing that there are things you can't control, and just accepting it.
Yeah. Yep.
So from all of us, good luck.
You can do it.
Yeah, but we'll still be here to offer any tidbits of advice that we have pop into our head, or trends and things that we're seeing. We'll be here as a resource for you.
Yeah, we'll keep you informed. So this has been This Month in Arts Marketing for July. Leave us a comment, reach out if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to connect. Have a good month.